discussing The Killer, directed by David Fincher and written by...
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're not gonna do the whole Curtis review intro punchy thing?
Oh, my bad. I guess I forgot to do it. I was just trying to do something a little different this time.
Nope, not this time. We're actually gonna try something new today
Don't do any of the tough guy stuff, okay? All right. I'll say the line. Dude, back off. Dude, come on, dude. Ah, no, dude, ah, get away. Ah, ah. What's up, movie fans, and welcome to Cool Guy Reviews. Those nerdy Curtis reviews are out the window, so cozy up with Cool Guy Curtis for this review of The Killer, a 2023 thriller starring Michael Fassbender, Tilda Swinton, Arliss Howard, and Charles Parnell, based on the Eisner-winning graphic novel of the same name by Alexis Matz Nolant and Luc Jacquemin. David Fincher directs, along with reuniting with the writer from Seven, Andrew Kevin Walker, as well as editor Kirk Baxter, with music by Social Network scores Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Heavy hitters is an understatement, as the movie not only packs a serious punch, it delivers a prescient and cynical tale of murder in the convenience age of our time. That all being said, I do consider Fincher to be an event filmmaker, but I do feel much more hot and cold on his various releases. I haven't seen all of his classics, such as Seven, but I consider The Social Network to be one of my favorite movies of all time, and dare I say, a comfort movie. And then there's Gone Girl, which I did really enjoy when I first watched it during the pandemic. However, I returned to it this summer and was pretty cold to it. It just didn't really work as well the second time, and I found it to be a bit boring. So I went into The Killer expecting something, but my palate was pretty clean. I was ready for a new experience. The story is simple, but immediately gripping, as Fassbender's unnamed killer is introduced in between serenades of the Smiths, which is one aspect of this movie's twisted, dark sense of humor. He's setting up his assigned hit from the window of an abandoned WeWork office. The hit goes haywire, almost immediately undermining the killer's cold, domineering, and self-confident inner dialogue. Still, his dedication and discipline to his craft allow him to escape, only to find that retaliation has been wrought against his personal life in the Dominican Republic. Revenge is upon us. David Fincher is firing on all cylinders here, from the pacing, the writing, the directing, and just about everything else. This is a peak performance for him as a director. Fassbender is almost chameleonic in this role, disappearing into this unnamed assassin. He rarely utters a word of spoken dialogue, with everything about his character and traits being revealed through inner monologue, as well as specific choices in songs from the Smiths' discography. The soundtrack is killer, even for someone like me who's not a big mark for this band, but it really matches the breakneck pacing and dark humor throughout the movie. Fassbender melts into this role, becoming not just an actor, but a living embodiment of the idea and character that Fincher and Walker set out to evoke with this movie. I mean, this is mag-fucking-neato we're talking about here. Mag-fucking-neato! Those familiar with my channel, specifically my most recent video about the terrific and terrifying Talk to Me, know how important I find sound design to be for not just an effective horror movie, but for movies in general. The more I've gotten into sound editing while learning how to and doing my own YouTube channel, found how crucial sound editing is to a movie's tone. Every single utterance, noise, and cue is planned and precise, just like Fincher's approach to directing and Fassbender's killer's approach to, well, killing. Tilda Swinton's brief moments in the movie are amongst its best. Watching her and other people before her and after her in the film react to the killer appearing in their orbit is chilling. Not to mention the killer confirms that she does in fact look like a toothpick prior to their rendezvous at the restaurant. This is just another hilarious touch in the script writing.
Oh, fuck, Bono.
Another toothpick.
What the hell kind of way is that to talk about a sick person?
She immediately orders a flight of whiskey, which is maybe unintentionally based on the amount of travel and flight that the killer takes in the movie, but I found it to be a clever way for the script and movie to stay self-referential. She's uncaring of the expensive origin of these liquors, she just wants to get as drunk as possible as soon as possible. She laments the missed Haagen-Dazs that was traded for a trim figure and a sharp sense of discipline. Here we see another character abandoning logic and control in what could be their final moments. There are many mistakes laid out for each of the characters in this movie. Perhaps something to do with the process of creating this movie or a movie itself. This particular entry in Fincher's filmography had me thinking a lot about Lars von Trier's The House That Jack Built. The Matt Dillon starring picture is much more bleak and violent than The Killer is, and as far as the craft of these two movies in comparison, it's incomparable. Fincher is the king here. However, Matt Dillon's Killer and Fassbender's Killer are interesting to look at side by side here, as we see unfold their own interpersonal philosophies, no matter how dark and violent they are. They each carry a code or lack thereof, and if you haven't seen The House That Jack Built, you might find it an interesting watch after finishing The Killer. The Killer's most interesting aspect, aside from almost all of its perfection, is the idea of a dropship sniper, living and murdering while we enjoy the conveniences provided by companies like Amazon. There are so many visual references and sight gags referring to modern brand names and product placement. It's sickening to see how easy it is for someone like this killer to move freely in our world. It's laughable seeing how many fake names, passports, license plates, etc. that he has collected, all for the sake of moving amongst the world as an invisible evil force of nature. The amount of interference in our personal lives from ad campaigns, TikTok, and other social media culture are definitive to the idea of Fincher's Killer, as the current state of distracted nihilism here on planet Earth is indicative of a larger problem. We can watch genocide unfold from these tiny screens and then immediately flip over to the Taco Bell app and order food to our doorstep. Something is weird, something is off, and something is trying to kill us. Like with the last movie I talked about on my channel, Thanksgiving, The Killer feels like a very personal project to Fincher. It's very deliberate seeming and delicate in approach. The only thing that didn't really jive with me was the kind of vague and unclear motive of revenge. We spend so little time with the killer's personal life and assumed family that we don't really quite understand his relationship to them, who they are to him. There's no backstory, and while I see how this keeps him sort of cold and dominant in the scenes, there could have been a little bit more there. It also risks you rooting for somebody who is so violent and uncaring. There's a very thin line that's being tread, but it's really much less about our character, the killer, and more so what's being done and how it unfolds that is so interesting here. This is an odyssey, an adventure, a tale, and we are seeing a journey from beginning to end. The nature of this killer and our main character is probably going to turn off a lot of people. For those of you who are into something that's a slow burn, really beautifully shot, and very sharply written, I think you're gonna find something to appreciate here, even if Fassbender's Killer is just kind of someone who's easy to hate and hard to root for. The epilogue, which I actually kind of came around to the more that I was working on the script for this video, is the last point about this movie that I'd like to touch on. The Killer feels a lot like someone pulling a bring the band back together kind of project, but also feels like a metaphor for how Fincher approaches filmmaking. The silences, sound editing, and quietness of the killer, amidst the punch-outs, silencers, and violence, stand out as symbolic for how something like this can be made in our current cinema landscape. Fincher must push out all external stimuli, all feeling and empathy, much like the killer, to create a piece of art that is important to him. And that is a very important part of creating art in general. And you can really tell that he made this movie first and foremost for himself. The movie's brief intro credits are indicative of just that. Fincher is saying, let's get into it. This is me. This is who I am. This is the kind of movie that I can fucking make. Watch me. If you guys saw The Killer, what did you think? Is this your favorite Fincher film? And if not, which one is? Leave all the comments below. And before you move on to that next video in your YouTube queue, please remember to like and subscribe so you get more content like this in the future. Keep watching great movies and keep supporting movie theaters. This is Cool Guy Curtis signing off.